Welcome to the ITAP YouTube forum. My name is Cass. ITAP is a global consulting firm that helps businesses be globally competitive when they do business across borders. With consultants in 30 business centers around the world and over 25 years experience, we have some great stories to tell and issues to share. The ITAP YouTube forum was created to help both clients and viewers. We'd like to encourage those of you who watch this to also join our LinkedIn discussion groups and comment on today's program, ask each other questions, and talk to us about global business and cultural issues. You can see the link to the forum listed below the program description. We'd like to launch the YouTube forum with an interview of the founder of ITAP International, Dr. John Bing. Most of the viewers perhaps know who you are or know a little bit about you. John is a returned Peace Corps volunteer and has an EDD in international education. John, could you just tell us a little bit about how and when you realized that cultural differences could impact business practices?
I think I became interested in the relationship between culture and business from a very early age. My parents came from different cultures. My mother was Irish-English, my father German. They raised me completely differently. My mother said I could do no wrong, and my father said I could do no right, so I knew right away that there were probably differences. I didn't know they were cultural. And then I began following a cultural compass when I joined the Peace Corps. And I had asked for French-speaking Africa, and naturally they sent me to Afghanistan. I learned Farsi, Dari, it was called there. And a number of my first impressions were built around the nexus between culture and business. I remember my first day as a Peace Corps volunteer in Afghanistan. I went to buy some oranges. And so I went to a group of older men who were selling various fruits off the backs of their animals, and so I said to one of them, I said, Kali Chandas, how much does this cost per pound? And he said, well, we sell them, I sell you oranges each by each. So I said, well, and I started to sort of practice my Farsi, and I was much younger than the seller was, and I was sort of strutting and so on. And I asked how much one was, and he said, well, that's 1 Afghani. And I said, well, how much are 5? And he said, 5 Afghani. And how much are 10? He said, 100 Afghani. I said, well, why, if 5 are 5 Afghani, do 10 are 100? And he said, I'm not going to sell you anything, which was not a successful start for my Peace Corps work. But I, over the years, pieced together the likelihood that since he was older, he really wanted a little more respect from this this fellow from somewhere else who was trying to speak his language. And so I learned that trust and respect across cultures is a very important part of any commercial transaction. Another important learning for me was around a group of Afghan friends that I had gathered after being there a year or so. These were young people my age, between 20 and 30, and they often had need for more money, as we all do, than we possess. So one person in this group would go to another one and ask him for money. And sometimes quite a bit of money from an Afghan point of view, maybe $100, which is a lot of money then in Afghanistan. And they lent it really without an expectation that they'd ever get it back, which was also new to me. And then another person in that same group would ask for money from the person who had originally been lent the money, and he would give them the money. And so the money kind of was lent within this group of of friends and acquaintances. And if you look at how Islamic lending is done in the largest banks and across countries, of course you find that there's no interest charge. It's against the Quran. And there are very different ways that they handle the concept of finance, lending, and money than is done in the West. And so I learned that there were systemic issues involved. One other small incident when I was, I trained for many years at a large healthcare company based in New Jersey. And one of those that I spent a lot of time with in a training and mentoring process was a sales agent who was going off to Malaysia. And I learned that one of the products that he was selling to doctors there was a porcine heart valve. And so I said, did you know that a lot of the people in Malaysia, majority of people in Malaysia are Muslim? He said, yeah, I know that. I said, do you know that they won't eat anything from pork? And he said, yeah. I said, do you think they're going to wear in their bodies a valve from a pig? And so that started a change in the way they were going, where they were going to sell this valve around the world. And it was a very simple learning, but it had profound implications for the sales of a number of products that they had developed.